Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following me a while, you know that for years I've been saying that 2024 going into 2025 is where we will reach our apex of all of the problems and all of the cycles that are going to converge into one. And therefore, I follow people that follow cycles and that understand how cycles work. And here, Charles Nenner, who studies cycles, major cycles, had a talk with Greg Hunter on Rumble here not too long ago. And what he says is what I suspected to be true, that this is going to be the year of cycles where things converge and they start to manifest into what I think will be, ladies and gentlemen, winter, which is the fourth turning of the human cycle. And I've covered Charles Nenner before, ladies and gentlemen, and he studies cycles very well, and he can predict by looking at past cycles what's going to happen in the future. It's like they always say, the more that you study the past, the further in the future that you can see. Well, here he says that Trump will be the winter coat, and wait until you see what he means by that. He warns that the cycle is turning down very fast, and not just for finances, not just for war, ladies and gentlemen, but also for the end of a nation. Here he is warning that a huge war cycle will happen that occurs every 120 years or so. Can you guess what that is? It will be, in my opinion, World War III. And further down the line, he says there's nothing that you can do about it. Not at the grand scheme of things. Maybe on a personal sense, yes, but not in the grand scheme of things. And he goes over that here in a minute. He says we are clearly in this huge war cycle, which is that 120-year cycle we talked about. We are simultaneously entering a huge financial down cycle that could easily turn into the greatest depression ever. Now let that sink in. This is not fear-mongering. This is reality, ladies and gentlemen. So if for some reason maybe you've come across this channel for the first time and you think that I'm fear-mongering, I'm not. But you must wake up and understand that the rose-colored glasses that you've been living through your entire life, if you're still asleep that is, that sooner or later they're going to come off and you're going to be able to see life for what it really is. Now the reality is that we will enter into a Great Depression whether we go to war or not. Why? Because it's part of the cycle, ladies and gentlemen. Neither of these cycles, says Charles Nenner, i.e. the financial cycle, Great Depression, the war cycle, World War, can be stopped. The problem is everywhere. You may remember that we said 10 years ago that the biggest problem for the United States is going to be internal. Abraham Lincoln was right. What, a couple hundred years ago now? Oh, about 100, 150 years ago now. He was right when he said that when America goes down, it will be because of America, not because of any invading force. There is a huge problem, he says. Nobody knows what to do anymore, and people are afraid to speak up because of this political correctness crap that we've been induced with for the last several years. History says that if you're not allowed to say certain things, then you stop thinking certain things. This is what is written in the book 1984. And isn't that the truth? When you are censored from saying what's in your mind, then eventually, you know how they say out of sight, out of mind? It's kind of like the same thing. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to help out, make sure that you share this video. Please like this video. Please let it go all the way through. That really helps with the algorithm. Let an ad or two run through. That helps with the algorithm as well. Because YouTube does not like the truth. They do not like to allow the truth to get out. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, I am being shadow banned. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just asking you for a little bit of help. He says, I think America is lost, but it is not a surprise. The Dutch ruled for 250 years, and the Spanish and Portuguese and the English came. Every big society ends more or less after 250 years, and now is the United States' turn. Oupes is having an awesome sale, and it starts tomorrow on the 10th of January. So let me take a quick minute to show you what they have, and I'm going to try to talk them into giving me something so that I can give away maybe during our next live stream or the next one after that, whatever. But check this sale out. It's very good. It's their winter sale and it starts tomorrow. And check this out, you get an extra 5% off any order over $1,500, but they have so many things that are a lot less than $1,500 that you may not even get that high and still be able to satisfy your power generation needs in the form of a solar generator. And this is their Mega lineup, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the Mega 5 to the Mega 2. And this is the B2 battery that you can use to add extra capacity to the Mega 2 or the Mega 3. The Mega 5 actually has an additional battery that you can hook up to it, but it's just as big as the unit. And if you're looking for something simple, ladies and gentlemen, that's just going to get the job done, take a look at their legacy models. The Oupes 2400, great machine. I think I have it right here. Yes, this is my 2400 right here. Great machine. I use it all summer long, every single summer since I've had it, and it still works. It's right there. Here's the 1200, which is a great bang for your buck, $500 for a solar generator with about 1,000 watt hours of capacity. Here's the Oupes 1800, another great deal. And this is what I like to call the Mighty Mouse. This is the Oupes 600, which pretty much charges any of your personal devices and small items. And I even got it to charge or power, not charge, power one of my heaters right here in the bunker, but that's not what I normally use it for. But Oupes is a great company, in my opinion. They like to give back to the community through Oupes Helps. They have a product that I believe is the best bang for your buck as far as solar generators go, and they have a good company of people that care about the community. Now, getting back to Charles Nenner, he says that one of the reasons that the United States is in a downfall is because the crazies, what I like to call them, they think that Marxism and communism is good, but it did not work in other places and other times because they weren't doing it right. So that's what the crazies think. They say, oh, communism and Marxism, although it's never ever worked in its entirety of history, it's good. They just didn't do it right. Incredible. And he says, if you don't wake up, this is what you're going to get, and that is a communist or Marxist situation. So is there nothing that can be done to save America? Asks Greg Hunter. The cycle is turning down, says Nenner. And people ask, is there anything you can do? You cannot do anything about it. I've said this several times. You cannot do anything about it. The question is, what can you, ladies and gentlemen, do for your family, for your community, for your church, for your state? What can you do personally? You have summer and then you have winter, he says. And this is where he says, if you know winter is coming, then get a coat. And what does he mean about that? He says that if you know that something is going to happen that's maybe unfavorable, then do what you have to do in order to increase your chances of survival. You see, this is my personal thought. The more patriots that are prepared for the long haul here in the United States, the more of a chance that there will be that our country sustains the blow that it's going to get and survives to fight another day, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I don't agree 100%, but you have to do what you want to do, right? I don't agree 100% with people that say, you know, if they didn't prep, then the heck with them, you know? Because, ladies and gentlemen, some people or most people are still asleep, but it doesn't mean that they're not good people. And I think that being as prepared as possible, if you are able to, prepare more so, that way you can have some to donate to people that you know are patriots, but just didn't wake up in time. Anyways, I digress. And this was surprising for me to hear from Charles Nenner because he never really gets political, right? But he says Trump is going to be the winter coat. He says that Trump is going to be what enables us to get through the bad times and that he is coming back. What validity is there behind that statement? I don't know. But I've mentioned in the past that America is like a speeding train headed towards the wall. And it depends who's sitting behind the Resolute desk as far as how fast that train is going to hit that wall. You see, the train is going to hit the wall, ladies and gentlemen. But depending on who sits in the president's chair, depends on how fast it hits that wall. And here he's saying that Trump will be the winter coat. I think he can make it less bad. Nenner says interest rates are not going down until summer. He likes gold for the longer term, but it has not bottomed yet. Now, that's very interesting that he says that gold has not bottomed yet. Now get ready for this, because this may upset some people. The stock market is in for at least a 30% fall in the next few months, and the country will fall into a deep recession after the halfway point in 2024. Yes, it could turn into the greatest depression ever because there is astronomical debt. Nenner thinks the wild card is a multi-front war that has already started. And ladies and gentlemen, what chances do you think we have of getting out of those multi-front wars that we are more than likely proxying right now, right? In my opinion, if this administration stays in office. War gets much worse before it gets better, he says. Nenner also is warning about a huge wave of tea attacks coming to America from within because of the wide open southern border. Charles Nenner is not the only one that's predicting war, ladies and gentlemen. The Swedish government just told all of its citizens, prepare for war, more than likely with the big R. Swedish rulers are urging their population to prepare for war. People living in Sweden should be ready to face Russia in a confrontation. In a speech on Sunday, the foreign minister hailed his country's expected membership into NATO as the biggest change in Swedish security policy in more than 200 years. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that something that Sweden entered NATO, and now instead of being a neutral country that usually stays out of wars, now they have to prepare for war. I wonder how the citizens of Sweden are liking that. Because from my understanding, and I can be 100% wrong, I don't live in Sweden, I haven't visited Sweden, it's just what I see on the intranet, right? From what I understand, the government of Sweden has really failed its people. They have allowed in so many people from outside of their country, let's just put it that way, and giving them so many entitlements, taking it from the actual Swedish people and giving it to people that never lived there before, that Swedes are suffering en masse. Anyways, I digress again. However, he also warned that Russia will constitute a serious threat to the security of Sweden and Europe for the foreseeable future. He added that Stockholm must be realistic and assume and be prepared for a drawn-out confrontation. And this is pretty pathetic, ladies and gentlemen. Why in the world should we have to beg Mexico for anything? Why should we, the United States of America, have to beg anyone for anything? All we have to do is follow the law of the land and things would be so much better. But nothing comes for free, ladies and gentlemen, when you are owned as an administration by other nations. Therefore, there are conditions if we want Mexico to help in keeping out the flood of people coming in through our open borders. Then this is what they're asking for. The U.S. approval for a plan to deploy, pretty much give us money, $20 billion to Latin America and Caribbean countries. Suspend the U.S. blockade of Cuba. Remove all sanctions against Venezuela. Grant at least 10 million Hispanics living in the U.S. the right to work legally and to remain in the U.S. So he wants us to grant pretty much citizenship to people that came here through the back door. So what are we going to keep doing as a country? Just allowing them to come in? And when I say them, I don't say it as an insult, but I do say it with concern, because them means people that are coming in here unlawfully. Right? Why in the world should the United States of America grant citizenship or permanent residency to a group of people whose first act coming into this country was an unlawful act? The border saw a record 300,000 migrants processed by CBP, the Border Patrol, in December alone. Mexican officials said that the president's administration in Mexico would prefer that this president, Biden, wins re-election in November. I wonder why. Well, it seems that we've already gone over this through the first article that I read with Charles Nenner, but it says here, buckle up for a bumpy 2024, economists warn. And I just went ahead and highlighted a few key points here. Currently, there's growing talk about the prospect of a soft landing in 2024, and those talks are usually coming from the government pundits, Federal Reserve, or the mainstream media pundits that want you to be broke for the rest of your lives and so that they can steal your money, period. There is a high risk that we will experience an economic recession before 2024. So that's kind of parroting what Charles Nenner says, except he's saying that there's not a high risk, that there will be a major recession in 2024 that could lead into a greater or greatest depression. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I do not like to fly. You know, before we even get into this here, I saw a video here a few days back about that Alaska Airlines. I think it was an Alaska Airlines flight where that door came off. And there was a gentleman who found a cell phone near where he lives on a field that came from that flight, that fell out of that plane, from the inside of the plane after the door fell out, and fell 35,000 or so feet. And he said that when he found it, it had no scratches or nothing, and that it still worked. And when he turned it on, that it did not have a lock screen. So he was able to see that the person who dropped the phone and it fell out of the plane was messaging their family, telling them that he loves them or something like that. Incredible, listen, ladies and gentlemen. But here, after that happened, it says that United found that there were a whole bunch of 737s with loose bolts on the doors, on their emergency doors, after they inspected them after this incident here. It says United has found loose bolts and other parts on 737 MAX 9 plug doors as it inspects its fleet of Boeing jets following the rapid depressurization aboard the Alaska Airlines jets, according to 3 people familiar with findings. That's why I don't like to fly. All right, well, I hope that you got something out of this. Just get prepared, ladies and gentlemen, the very best that you can. If you can't afford to, you know, put a little bit of money or of fiat currency into gold and silver so that you can at least preserve some of your wealth going forward, make sure that you preserve your wealth. I'm not a financial advisor, I have to say that because I'm on the internet, but preserve your wealth by buying stuff, by getting food, by getting water filters so that you can make sure that you at least have something to clean water with should things get really bad. Self-defense, all right, ladies and gentlemen, first aid. Get all of those things covered before you put 1 penny of fiat currency into gold and silver. And if you feel like you have to put something into gold and silver, but you're not out of debt or you don't have all of your preps ready, then just put a minimal amount. Just go buy 10 or 20 dimes a month, silver dimes a month, which comes out to be about, I don't know, 20, 40 bucks or something like that. And then just keep doing that, and you will be very happy that, or you will feel, not be very happy, but you will feel very fortunate that if you ever need to spend those silver dimes, that you have them, because you will be able to extract the same value from them that you were able to with the money that you bought them today. Meaning what? That it will preserve your purchasing power. Having said that, have a great rest of your day. If you want to see one of my camping videos, which I am now going to try to upload one every 1 to 2 weeks or so, check out the one that I put out yesterday, which I was going over the items that I take winter camping with me. That way you can see what I take. It was a fun video to make. I'm in the process of editing next week's video, because I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it takes a lot of computer work or editing work in order to put a short 20-30 minute video together that's compiled from several hours of footage. So I hope to see you all during our next video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for all of your support. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.